Chapter 19, Episode 19, Breaking Dawn. Dawn broke over Hallowville, painting the sky in a palette that shouldn't have been possible. Autumn gold mingling with spring pastels in perfect harmony. The transformation that had begun during the ritual had settled into a new reality, one where the boundaries between seasons had softened into beautiful coexistence. Sabrina and Noah walked down Main Street, taking inventory of the changes. The old oak tree in front of the library displayed an impossible but enchanting blend of spring buds and fall foliage, while carved pumpkins sat nestled among beds of fresh daisies. "Look at this," Sabrina said, stopping to examine a particularly striking plant. What appeared to be a traditional jack-o'-lantern vine had produced flowers that glowed with an inner light, their petals a delicate mix of orange and spring pink. Noah pulled out his notebook, adding it to their growing list of magical phenomena. "Mrs. Chen at the tea shop says her brewing magic has doubled in strength. She can now blend autumn spices with spring herbs in ways that were impossible before." They continued their rounds, stopping frequently to assist citizens adjusting to the new magical atmosphere. Outside the bakery, Sabrina helped a young witch who found her previously Halloween-focused magic now responding to spring elements as well. "Think of it like learning a new language," Sabrina explained, guiding the girl through a simple spell that combined both seasonal aspects. "The magic hasn't changed, it's just expanded its vocabulary." At the town hall, Noah met with the council to revise Hallowville's magical regulations. The old rules, strictly separating spring and Halloween magic, needed complete overhaul. He spread out maps marked with the new magical flow patterns across the conference table. "We need to establish guidelines that protect this balance," he explained to the assembled officials. "Our traditional zoning laws for magical activities don't account for this level of integration." Throughout the day, Sabrina and her team visited the town's magical hotspots. The fountain in the town square, once strictly bound to Halloween magic, now sprayed water that sparkled with both autumnal amber and spring green. The ley lines beneath the town had stabilized into new patterns, creating a complex web of balanced energy. In the library, Sabrina's students worked to document the changes, filling journals with sketches and descriptions of new magical phenomena. They recorded instances of hybrid plants, enhanced magical abilities, and unprecedented magical combinations. "The townspeople are reporting a stronger connection to Hallowville's magic," one student reported, reviewing their surveys. "It's like everyone can feel the town's heartbeat now, regardless of their magical affinity." Sabrina nodded, understanding exactly what they meant. The town's magic felt more accessible, more inclusive than ever before. Even those who had previously aligned strictly with one seasonal aspect found themselves able to work with both. By afternoon, Sabrina and Noah had established a preliminary system for monitoring and maintaining the new equilibrium. They set up magical sensors at key points around town, creating an early warning system for any significant shifts in the balance. "We're going to need a permanent task force," Noah suggested as they reviewed their findings. "This isn't just about maintaining what we have. Hallowville's become something entirely new." Sabrina agreed, already noting increased magical activity at the town's borders. "We're probably the only place in the world where Halloween and spring magic exist in true harmony. That's bound to attract attention." They stood at the top of Crow's Hill overlooking their transformed town. Below them, Hallowville had never looked more alive. Jack-o'-lanterns grinned from amid cherry blossoms, while black cats lounged in patches of fresh grass. The air hummed with balanced magic, strong and stable. "It's beautiful," Sabrina said softly, watching a group of children practice spells that would have been impossible just days ago. "This is what Hallowville was always meant to be." Noah smiled, adding another note to his ever-growing list. "And we'll make sure it stays this way." The town hall's ancient rafters creaked under the weight of what seemed like all of Hallowville's residents. Every seat was filled, with people standing along the walls and spilling out into the foyer. The room buzzed with excited chatter, punctuated by occasional bursts of newly manifested magic. Sabrina stood at the podium with Noah beside her, facing their neighbors and friends. The crowd quieted as she began to speak, her voice steady despite her racing heart. 3 days ago, our town changed forever," she said. The magical balance we achieved wasn't just about stopping a crisis, it was about discovering what Hallowville could truly become. Noah stepped forward, unrolling a map that showed the town's new magical layout. The ley lines have stabilized into a unique pattern, he explained, pointing to the glowing lines that now crisscrossed in previously impossible ways. We're seeing Halloween and spring magic working together in ways that have never been documented before. Hands shot up across the room. Mrs. Chen from the tea shop stood first. My brewing magic has evolved, she said. I can now blend autumn and spring ingredients that would have exploded if mixed before. My customers say the tea's effects are stronger, more balanced. Others shared similar experiences. The local florist described roses that bloomed with jack-o'-lantern centers. A young witch demonstrated how her traditional Halloween familiar, a black cat, now left trails of spring flowers in its wake. Not everyone was entirely comfortable with the changes. Mr. Peterson, who'd run the Halloween costume shop for 40 years, stood with a worried expression. What about our traditions? Halloween has always been Hallowville's heart and soul. Sabrina nodded, understanding his concern. Our traditions won't disappear, she assured him. They'll grow stronger. Imagine a Halloween parade where the jack-o'-lanterns sprout flowering vines, or haunted houses where spring and autumn magic create entirely new kinds of enchantments. The magical community leaders took turns addressing the crowd. The head of the Witches' Coven, the chief of the Fairy Council, and even the usually reclusive Ghost Collective all pledged their support for maintaining the new balance. We propose creating a Magical Affairs Council, Noah announced. Representatives from all magical traditions will work together to oversee this new era. We need everyone's perspective to maintain this equilibrium. The town clerk called for a vote. Hands raised across the room, an overwhelming majority supporting the proposal. The motion passed, and with it came a palpable sense of relief and excitement. As the meeting drew to a close, Sabrina called for a moment of silence. None of this would have been possible without Quill, she said, her voice thick with emotion. My familiar gave everything to create this balance. We honor that sacrifice by ensuring its gift wasn't in vain. The townspeople rose as one, raising their hands. Magical energy flowed from each person, combining into a shimmering aurora that danced across the town hall's ceiling. Halloween orange and spring green swirled together, creating patterns of extraordinary beauty. Mayor Wilson stepped forward, declaring the Day of the Magical Convergence would be celebrated annually as Balance Day, a new tradition to complement their existing festivals. The crowd applauded, already buzzing with ideas for how to commemorate both the transformation and Quill's sacrifice. As people began to file out, many stopped to share their stories with Sabrina and Noah. A young apprentice witch demonstrated how she could now grow pumpkins that bloomed with spring flowers. An elderly warlock explained how his arthritis potions worked better when he combined autumn mushrooms with spring herbs. The town hall gradually emptied, but the sense of unity and purpose remained. Hallowville had always been special, but now it was truly unique. A place where the impossible had become possible, where boundaries had dissolved into harmony, and where magic itself had evolved into something new and wonderful. The old schoolhouse hummed with magical energy as Sabrina arranged crystal formations on each student desk. The classroom, once used for basic spellcraft, had transformed into something entirely new. Seasonal magic swirled visibly in the air, autumn leaves dancing with spring petals in perpetual motion. Today, we're going to learn about harmonic resonance between opposing magical forces, she announced to her expanded class. The room was packed with students of all ages, from elementary schoolers to retirees, each drawn to Hallowville's unique magical balance. Noah stood at the back of the classroom, taking notes. He'd been incorporating these lessons into his department's training programs, ensuring every emergency responder understood how to handle magical incidents safely. Remember, Sabrina demonstrated, drawing two intersecting circles in the air with glowing magic. Spring and Halloween energies don't fight each other anymore. They enhance each other like complementary colors or musical harmonies. A young student raised her hand. Like how my mom's garden now grows both nightshade and daisies together? Exactly, Sabrina smiled. and that's why we've paired each of you with a mentor who specializes in a different magical tradition than your own. The mentorship program had been particularly successful. Mrs. Chen, the tea shop owner, was teaching a Halloween-focused warlock how to incorporate spring elements into his potions. Meanwhile, the town's foremost spring fairy was working with a gothic teenager who showed remarkable talent for combining light and shadow magic. In the newly established magical library next door, shelves stretched from floor to ceiling, filled with books both ancient and newly written. Sabrina had begun documenting everything they learned about Hallowville's transformed magic, creating detailed guides for future generations. Your homework, she continued, is to practice with the detection crystals we've given you. They'll help you sense any fluctuations in the magical balance. Remember to log any unusual readings in your journals. The early warning system had been Noah's idea. By distributing specially attuned crystals throughout town, they could monitor the magical equilibrium and address any instabilities before they became problems. After class, Sabrina led a group of advanced students on a field trip to the town's square. The fountain there had become a perfect example of balanced magic, its waters shifting between autumn mist and spring rain in a mesmerizing display. Notice how the energies flow, she instructed, pointing to the visible currents of magic. This is what we mean by natural harmony. The transformation didn't eliminate either type of magic. It created something entirely new. The students practiced their detection spells, their crystals glowing as they mapped the magical currents. Some took samples of the fountain's water for later study, while others sketched the energy patterns in their notebooks. Word of Hallowville's unique magical properties had begun to spread. Magical practitioners from other towns visited regularly, eager to learn about balanced magic. Sabrina found herself hosting workshops for visiting witches and warlocks, sharing the principles they'd discovered. In her office, surrounded by magical texts and artifacts, Sabrina worked on her comprehensive guidebook. She documented everything from basic principles to advanced techniques, including first-hand accounts from townspeople about how the balance had affected their magical practices. Noah dropped by with coffee, peering over her shoulder at the manuscript. The pages contained detailed diagrams of the town's new magical infrastructure, along with practical exercises for maintaining balance in one's own magic. The emergency response teams are really getting the hang of it, he reported. Yesterday, they handled a magical surge at the bakery without any help. The baker's enthusiasm for combining Halloween and spring ingredients in his enchanted bread had caused some unexpected effects. Sabrina nodded, adding a note about magical food safety to her manuscript. The incident would make an excellent case study for her advanced classes. The Magical Education Center had become a cornerstone of Hallowville's new identity. Every day brought new discoveries, new combinations of magic that had never been possible before. Students experimented under careful supervision, pushing the boundaries of what balanced magic could achieve. Through it all, Sabrina kept a small shrine to Quill in the corner of her classroom. The hedgehog's sacrifice had made all of this possible, and its memory inspired everyone to use their magic responsibly and thoughtfully. Sabrina knelt in the soft earth of the hidden garden, now transformed into Hallowville's premier magical park. The once secretive space had become a sanctuary where citizens could practice their magic and experience the harmony of balanced seasons. Morning dew sparkled on leaves that bore both autumn colors and spring buds, a testament to the town's unique magical nature. As she tended to a patch of moonflowers intertwined with morning glories, something caught her eye. A small sprout pushed through the soil, emanating a gentle, pulsing light. Sabrina watched in wonder as the tiny growth shifted between forms, one moment a miniature pumpkin vine, the next a spring bulb breaking through the earth. The magical signature reminded her powerfully of Quill. When she reached out to touch the mysterious plant, magical energy surged through her fingertips. The garden around her blurred and shifted, plunging her into a vivid vision. She saw unfamiliar creatures stepping through magical portals into Hallowville, beings of light and shadow, entities composed of pure seasonal energy, and creatures that seemed to exist between realities. The vision shifted, showing her neighboring towns experiencing unexpected magical phenomena. Cherry trees bloomed with jack-o'-lantern fruits in Spring Valley, while Summerfield's beaches sparkled with autumn leaves made of sea foam. The balanced magic of Hallowville appeared to be spreading, affecting the magical fabric of the entire region. Through these swirling images, Sabrina noticed a dark figure moving purposefully between locations. This shadow collected objects of power, ancient talismans, enchanted crystals, and magical artifacts from various magical traditions. The figure's intentions remained unclear, but their actions seemed deliberate and methodical. The scene changed again, revealing Hallowville transformed into a bustling magical metropolis. Beings from various magical realms walked its streets openly, sharing knowledge and practicing their unique forms of magic. The town square had become a marketplace where magical artifacts and ingredients from different dimensions were traded freely. As the vision reached its climax, Sabrina beheld a magnificent tree growing in the center of the hidden garden. Its trunk spiraled with patterns representing all 4 seasons, and its leaves bore ancient magical symbols that shifted and changed with each breeze. The tree pulsed with raw magical energy, serving as both anchor and beacon for the transformed town. When the vision faded, Sabrina found herself back in the present moment, her hands still hovering over the mysterious sprout. She pulled out her phone and called Noah immediately. Noah arrived at the garden within minutes, slightly out of breath from running. Sabrina showed him the shifting sprout and described her vision in detail. They sat on a nearby bench, discussing the implications of what she'd seen. "This means Hallowville is becoming more than just a town with unique magic," Sabrina explained, gesturing to the sprout. "It's evolving into something bigger, a crossroads for magical beings from different realms." Noah nodded, his expression thoughtful. "We'll need to expand our magical security measures. If beings from other realms are coming, we have to ensure everyone's safety, both magical and non-magical citizens." They spent the next hour walking through the garden, making plans and discussing preparations. The balanced magic they'd achieved was just the beginning. New challenges lay ahead: managing interdimensional visitors, protecting magical artifacts, and helping neighboring towns adapt to spreading magical influences. As they talked, the small sprout continued its mesmerizing transformation, a tiny herald of the changes to come. Sabrina and Noah knew their role as guardians of Hallowville's magic would need to evolve along with the town itself.